Hello, this is Sticking to Kayfabe. I am Anthony, and this is my co-host TJ. We got a fun one for you guys today. Today's debate is: Did Vince McMahon kill wrestling? I didn't agree with this topic. This is more my brother TJ's thing. He definitely wanted to talk about this. Did Vince McMahon kill wrestling in the long term? I'm gonna let him go off with it first, and we'll see. We'll piggyback off each other and really have a fun, nice little meaty debate. So TJ, why did Vince McMahon kill wrestling?
Now, unlike Anthony over here, who is a Vince McMahon WWE glazer, I like to research and look up wrestling from the old days and to today. And unlike my co-host and my brother, who glazes WWE every chance he gets, even if it's as garbage as the Wyatt Six, which I call Mystery Science Theater 2.0, Vince McMahon killed wrestling in the long run. Yes. Now, if you think about it, I'm not talking about the 1980s because the territories dying was inevitable. I will admit that. It's basically from the late 90s on when Vince McMahon got rid of all of his wrestling writers and hired people like Vince Russo and all these yes men like John Laurinaitis and people like that who were like cockroaches going around with little Vince McMahon. Everything that he wanted to do, he basically, they were like, okay, we'll just, yeah, we'll do it. For me, wrestling before, I'm going to talk promo wise, I tried to show my brother Anthony something from 1985 where Ted DiBiase was fighting Ric Flair, and it was supposed to be, forgot who it was. It was one of the Hacksaw people. Butch Reed. Butch Reed was supposed to fight Ric Flair for the title, and Butch Reed got injured. So Ted DiBiase went to go fight him. And I can't remember who attacked him, who told him, oh, you shouldn't fight Ric Flair. So he attacks him, turns on him. Now, take it from here. Ted DiBiase was a heel. By the end of the episode, it only took an hour to turn him into a babyface. Only 1 hour, and it moved quick. It was very to the point. He just attacked him. There was no, like, looking at the camera and going dramatic and all floofy like that. It was straight to the point, like a real fight. Someone turned on me. Fuck you. And by the end of the match, they had Bill Watts, Cowboy Bill Watts, was talking about what's going to happen. Okay, Ted DiBiase is going to go out there. We're not going to stop the fight for blood loss. He had a gash on his head. He had his head wrapped. Ric Flair's out there. He's clobbering him, and the bandage comes off, and he's bleeding all over the place, and he gets stretchered out at the end. I tried to show Anthony that, but he don't watch none of that. He just watches his little WWE garbage. I do like
So,
WWE.
see, this is the problem with you, though. You always like to go on this whole tangent. I asked you a direct question: Did Vince McMahon kill wrestling? Because obviously you love to say it. But here's what I kill you with excellence, with education, with knowledge. Vince McMahon, yes, he's had a lot of bad ideas throughout the years. I'll admit it. The 2010s, the PG era was terrible. You know, the Attitude Era, the top storylines were great, but we also, people like to glorify nostalgia. They like to over glorify the Attitude Era. There was a lot of fluff, and it was Jerry Springer. But no, Vince McMahon did not kill wrestling. Without Vince McMahon, we wouldn't have wrestling what it is today. Yes, it turned into Jerry Springer, but that was also due to, the 90s, the edginess of the 90s. And, with trying to compete with WCW, with them being TV 14 and everything. But no, Vince McMahon did not kill wrestling. Without Vince McMahon, even though he's a weirdo, he's a creeper, he was absolutely necessary for wrestling today. Without Vince McMahon, wrestling would have been dead. There's no way, absolutely. We would have went to the territory days. We would have stuck with the old, how it is. It's just, it moves with the times. If Vince McMahon wasn't going to do it, somebody else was gonna treat it like it is. Because if Vince McMahon did not do what he did, it would have been stuck in the carnival days. And that's how I really feel. I mean, as much as we love WWE and wrestling right now, other than AEW, Triple H is ripping off Vince McMahon's old ideas. in the Ruthless Aggression era, they're rehashing everything. They're doing the whole Stone Cold Steve Austin storyline, how he went heel with Vince McMahon. Oh, John Cena went heel, about to be 17 time, by the way, and aligning himself with The Rock. It's the same thing. And now we have this past Friday Night SmackDown, where we have Alba Fire joining Chelsea Green and I don't want to say Dewdrop, but I can't remember her name. Whatever. They're going to create the Un-Americans. That's how it's going to go. Who created that? Vince McMahon. I mean, as much as we want to give Triple H so much grace right now, but some of his ideas was just rehash of the early 2000s with the Ruthless Aggression era. But no, Vince McMahon did not kill wrestling. And what you're saying is blasphemous. What you say is idiotic. And I think you need to go back, look at YouTube, watch a video, go through a history lesson, because, sir, you are out of line, brother. Out of line.
Okay. So this guy right here, I told you, he knows nothing outside of WWE. This guy was born in 1998. By the time he was old enough to even watch wrestling, there was no WCW. This guy didn't watch WCW. This guy has known nothing but Vince McMahon's product. That's all he knows is Vince McMahon product. Half of the storylines, I will tell you, are rehashes of like Mid-South wrestling. A lot of the storylines are Mid-South. They're the territory. I'm not talking about Vince McMahon killing the territories. I give you that. Vince McMahon, it was going to happen either with Vince McMahon or without Vince McMahon. I was having a conversation with a friend online, and I was saying, Vince McMahon killed wrestling, and he's like, no, not in the 80s, because, the territories were going to die. If someone was going to take over that whole cable TV thing, it was going to be either Georgia Championship Wrestling, which became WCW, or Vince McMahon, one or the other. What I'm talking about is Vince McMahon's style killed wrestling, even in the 80s. If you ever watched the great acting of Hulk Hogan, there are no Hulkamaniacs here. In the freaking forest of, it looks like freaking a thing out of Zelda: Link to the Past. And stupid cartoony crap like that led to late 1990s Crash TV, and then after that, it just got more and more dramatic. Oh, we need to have it so dramatic that we draw everything out, slow it down, and another thing I will tell you, 80s promos were all unscripted. It was either a sink or swim thing for you. If you couldn't talk in the 80s, you were dead in the water. You were dead. Now, they hand you a script, and you know it, boy. You know this. A lot of wrestlers today sound scripted as hell. They can't cut a promo by themselves. Only the really great people could cut promos without a script. I watched, what was it, Naomi and Bianca Belair.
I think you're wrong. I already know where you're going. You're wrong.
Scripted,
garbage, absolutely wrong. You are completely wrong. Out of line.
Let me speak. The most unemotional thing. I give Naomi credit for the tears, but they are so monotone like this. I did it for you. Do you know who else is like that?
I got one.
Do you know who else is like that?
Yeah.
The refrigerator.
Oh, Nia Jax. Oh, my Lord.
Nia Jax. It's the most monotone, scripted. You can tell most of these people are scripted. And it's because of a format that Vince McMahon had to have such control over everything. And commentary had scripts with Vince McMahon. They had to say exactly what Vince McMahon wanted them to say.
Not anymore. But hold on.
That's not.
Hold on. That's Triple H. That's Vince McMahon. That's Vince McMahon. But he gave out the blueprint. But hold on. You like to say, you brought up earlier, just now, you said Naomi and Bianca. Who is the booker right now for WWE?
Triple H.
Okay, so that's not Vince McMahon. But here's another thing. Who created this initial storyline, though? Okay, let me bring you back to the 2000s. I did it for The Rock. That was Rikishi. Rikishi attacked. I can't remember who he attacked. But he attacked somebody. He said, "I did it for The Rock." It's the same story. I did it for you, Bianca. It's the person who laid out the blueprint was Vince McMahon. For his bad ideas, yes, I understand he had a lot of bad ideas. Put that hand down when I'm talking, boy. Vince McMahon is extremely valuable to the wrestling business. And you're talking about the the 80s and the 90s. It was larger than life. You know that. It was larger than life figures. Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant. Without WWE, without wrestling or the mind of Vince McMahon, it's hot take Andre the Giant wouldn't be what he is today, as remembered. We don't remember Bruno Sammartino. We don't remember Harley Race, at least the majority of fans.
Vince McMahon still tells his story.
That's all that matters.
Because so history is told by the winner, correct?
Yes.
Say me and you were in a fight, and say two. Okay, never mind. Put it this way: battle between two armies. The losing army is going to get squashed, and they're going to you're never going to hear about them again. The reason why there's so much fluff about Vince McMahon is because he controls his narrative. If you do a lot of digging, then you would actually know. Like, who is the greatest draw of all time? And it's no one from a WWE.
The greatest draw?
Who drew the highest gate? Not the highest gate, but the highest seat capacity.
I'm gonna go because he wasn't there to be. I'm gonna say Ric Flair.
No.
Who was it?
Jim Londos.
Who's that?
Let me
exactly. And while you're looking that up, while you're looking that up, because we got to keep the audience entertained right now. All right.
Okay. So Jim Londos was.
Okay. Hold on. We'll let him talk.
Jim Londos debuted in 1912 to 1956. He drew over 65,000 people in Greece. He drew more than he had the most. I think, if I remember correctly, he drew the most 10,000 people gate of all time. From the 1930s to the 1940s or 50s, he drew the most people. And it's not money-wise, because money is different. When you're talking about today, yes, they're making a lot more money, but look at the price of inflation. Inflation has caused a lot of the influx of money. Money back then was worth a lot more than it is now.
Oh, obviously.
So, if you think about it, Hulk Hogan was a bigger draw than most of these people today.
Oh, absolutely.
It's still to the fact. If you adjust for inflation, and Jim Londos is still a bigger draw than a lot of these wrestlers today, just based on inflation. And he's not a WWF. He's not a WWF guy or WWE.
So let's fantasy book real quick. Without Vince, since you love to talk about how Vince McMahon killed wrestling, without Vince McMahon, what does wrestling look like today? That's the question I want to ask you, because I think
without Vince McMahon, I still think Vince McMahon is an important part of wrestling. It's not that I think that he shouldn't be around, but he could have had a working relationship with a lot of these companies instead of trapping himself in this wrestling bubble until he was so out of touch. He was so out of touch with everything, was he? He didn't even know who AJ Styles was until he got to WWE. He was so out of touch.
Well, that's different, though. That's because he got out of. You're talking about the PG era. The PG era, I will strongly say, is the worst era of professional wrestling. The only person who made John Cena look human was CM Punk. And you and I could both. The main event, it was John Cena versus The Miz. They had no business being the main event. And then The Rock turned it into himself and, ruined that. And then there was the next 2 years was John Cena versus The Rock, which was, yeah, it was cool, but WrestleMania 29 should have been John Cena versus The Rock versus CM Punk. We can agree with that. Sure, Vince McMahon is completely out of touch. Completely. There's a difference. Did he kill wrestling? No. But was he out of touch a lot sooner than he needed to be? He should have been out. Absolutely. Absolutely.
He killed wrestling in a way.
Yes.
Because he killed wrestling. It wasn't just one thing. It was an accumulation of things that got to the PG era, which I believe killed wrestling. It killed wrestling to the point where they had to come out with AEW. And the AEW doesn't even get it right. AEW is closer to sports entertainment with the way that their matches go. It's very gymnasticsy and all that. They don't even have it right. There's no
Mhm.
balance. There's not a balanced company where it provides the greatest storylines with an athletic contest to get that storyline told. It's either completely an entertainment based company, or you have a completely like illogical storyline wrestling based company. That's my argument, is that he killed wrestling to the point where there's no balance.
Yeah.
It's either all entertainment or it's just gymnastics.
So my thing I wanted to bring up that you said earlier, and I don't want to turn this to a bash AEW because AEW is not really worth my time,
I'm I'm not
but
gonna.
I digress. But I digress. Hold on. You say one of the things is a lot of wrestlers nowadays say WWE they need a script, right? You said that they need a. Not, there's only a few guys who can go off bullet points, like CM Punk, John Cena, The Rock, whatever. Even The Rock for a different day, he's actually very overrated for a different topic for a different day. Okay, now let's look at a company with no scripts who let the wrestlers just talk. AEW. And if, on the flip side, we get every single wrestler the opportunity to speak freely. What happens? You have a company like AEW who can't sell a ticket because they don't know how to tell a good story. There's only maybe one or two stories, and the best story they got is Mariah May versus Timeless Tony Storm. That's it. But so there's two ends of the spectrum. You have the overproduced like WWE back in the 2010s with Vince McMahon, and
It's still overrated.
now you have the people in AEW who can't tell a solid story. I know I'm going to get hate in the comments, but I really don't give a damn. I speak what I want when I want. And I think right now with wrestling, with WWE, it's like the perfect combination right now. It has a lot of sports entertainment, but it also has a perfect sports feel, minus the goofy horror thing as the what's we call it, the Wyatt Six. I don't like that. No top stars want to work with them, and that's something I know we haven't talked on the show, but we talked outside camera that I always like. I like the Wyatt Six. He always told me, no, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. I'll give that to you. You're right. Absolutely right. It does not work in today's wrestling. It's too goofy. Should have been in the 80s or 90s. But I digress.
Let me just tell you something.
Okay, let me.
The reason why AEW does not have very good promos is because there is no one to teach them promos. In the indies, you have a bunch of people just doing moves, right? No
Mm-hmm.
storytelling, no nothing. WWE is way too overproduced for me. I like WWE just, but back in the time, I'm talking to you like AWA, NWA, like territories were going to die off. But there needs to be somewhere where you can learn to promo, where you could learn to do, not promo, interviews. Need to learn to do interviews. People need to learn to do interviews. Because back then it was just sink or swim. And it needs to be that type of thing. It can't be scripted. But it also can't be where you put these people like Orange Cassidy or Ricochet or people like that who can't speak at all, and they have like no charisma. It's like you're watching a cardboard box talk to another fence. There has to be a sink or swim element, and there has to be repercussions for people that suck. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
not everybody can do this. Not I probably can't wrestle. I could talk a little bit. I would train myself to talk. That's what I would want to do. But you have to have, if I'm going to book you, you need to be able to sell the match. You need to be able to come up with your own stuff in a way. I'm going to give you bullet points. I'm going to tell you, okay, you're fighting, say, CM Punk. You're fighting Braun Breaker or Moxley or whoever. This is where it's at. This is the stipulation. You go out there and sell it. If you can't sell it, then I'll get someone else to do it. if you can't sell me a match, I'll get someone else who can. And WWE is way too overproduced because of Vince McMahon, and AEW because there's no territory system, no system that like actual bookers that taught wrestling and interviews and things like that. It's killed a lot of talent.
Yeah.
Can you agree?
No, when sometimes they're like who don't have the ability to talk, right? Yeah, no. This will be the last thing I say about AEW because it's another topic. What AEW needs is an experienced booker, not a fan like Tony Khan, an experienced booker. They should have got Jim Cornette to help them, but the problem is
You didn't want
same
that.
thing. Yeah, I know, but somebody experienced, that's a whole different topic for a different day. But whatever. But
There's Dutch
as we
Mantel. There's people like that.
yeah, but as we end the show today, we end this topic. Did Vince McMahon kill wrestling? Absolutely not.
I think
Absolutely not. That's my stance. Give your final thoughts on this, TJ.
I'm being over dramatic when I say killed wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, he killed wrestling. In a way, he did a lot of good with the whole like WrestleMania and things like that. But there's a lot of things that really set wrestling back to where there's not a. It's not. There's no way unless you're in either a WWE style or going directly to AEW where they're just lost. That's
Mm-hmm.
how I think it got killed. There's no balance. There's no
Yeah.
balance in wrestling, and that's why I say he killed it. He killed the balance because it became so overproduced to where you have someone who's like, "Oh, I'm going to give all the power to the wrestlers." No, you don't give all the power to the wrestlers. You have to have a balance. That's my argument.
So as we end the show, my name is Anthony. This is my co-host TJ. This is Sticking to Kayfabe. Please don't forget to subscribe, hit that follow button, that like button, hit a comment down there. We appreciate you guys. We're on to next week. We're going to be a little bit more consistent as time goes on. TJ, what you got for us?
If you guys, we'd like to hear from you whether you agree or disagree with what we're saying.
And that's it, guys. I appreciate y'all. Boy, as our next debate, we'll go ahead and talk about it. Thank you guys for being here. Get out of here.